Well, here's the thing. It's a fuel swirl pot, or header tank if you will, and particularly useful if you're moving from fuel injection or to fuel injection from a carb setup, because the fuel pump has to be a high pressure one, very likely like this. This is a 044 type Bosch type style pump. I'm not quite clear whether it's genuine or not, to be honest. But this is how they look, a cylindrical thing with electrical terminals on the top and a kind of bolt-in unit. You can screw various types of ones in. I've got this banjo type in, but there are many others you could use. They like to be below the level of the fuel to work. They're not very good at sucking uphill, if you like. And I've struggled with this. Now, possibly my specially made fuel tank, if you remember quite a long time ago, I should have gone with a submerged pump. It has got a built-in baffle which should help, but then I saw this thing on eBay. Now, background is I've got two other cars that there was a third as well, all running the same setup with an 044 pump. And finished up having to have a header tank, which was fed directly from the main tank to give the head of fuel height above the pump. But then I found this thing on eBay, and it's a header tank, but look at it. It's designed to take a whole 044 pump body like that, and of course all the connections, apart from the actual sucky part, all the connections are outside the tank, obviously, and they all have this. All the pumps have this kind of ridge, so the thing can't fall into the tank. But what it can do is do that. And I thought, brilliant! What a brilliant idea that is, and they're quite cheap as well. So I think it cost 37 quid, I can't quite remember exactly. But I thought, what a brilliant idea, and I've got all my flow return, and I can block some off if I need to, connections coming out of that. And because the tank will be full to the brim, it doesn't matter what level or whatever. I think you could probably mount it on its side as well, actually. But anyway, here it is. Now you'll see loads of these, as I've said, on eBay, and they seem to be the current trend. So brilliant, I thought, when it came. So I put my pump in, and I put my the fixing screws in. Oh, and it does come with a rubber O-ring, if you can see that. It's quite a large one, obviously. So drop that in the hole. Screw up the little screws, if I can get them started. And there's 6 screws, which I shall just do up. We can see already the advantages with regard to compactness. Here's the butt. It's not a tight fit. Now, I haven't tried this, but I'm pretty confident that's going to leak. I can't believe that they're actually selling this, and there's loads of places all selling the same thing, when it doesn't tighten up properly. So, big problem, I think. So I thought about this for a while, and I looked in detail at the shape of the locking ring, and there is actually a chamfer, which I'll show you in just a moment. So I don't know if you can see this, but there is actually a chamfer on the locking ring, where the side is kind of conical. So there is a chamfer on the inside of the tank as well. And I've tried this thing both ways up, and it is still loose. And that's really no good at all. But I did think, So why is there a chamfer on this side? And well, to cut a long story short, I decided that really what's needed is another O-ring to occupy the top side of this ridge, another O-ring to go under the top plate. And so that's what I've done. In fact, I got two of these things. Now these are, because trying to avoid problems with E10 fuel, I actually bought Viton O-rings. By the way, these are 60mm in diameter. So I bought Viton, which is supposed to be proof against problems with E10. So let's try that again. So I've now got an O-ring below the ridge on the pump body and one on top as well. And I'm going to take the chamfered side, so it's going to kind of form, I think, a kind of triangular gap in between, which I won't be able to show you obviously, but that's what I believe will happen. Now I did notice that some of these screws, especially because of the lock washer that they've got, a spring washer, do actually have trouble reaching the thread before you do them up. As you might be able to see, it's kind of lifting up. Obviously it hasn't been compressed yet, and that's a little bit of a problem when you come in to fit them. So what I'm doing in the first instance is actually screwing the little screws in on one side without the spring washer. And then going back and fitting it afterwards. Jasper, what are you doing down there? You hear a peculiar noise just then. There's dog one, Jasper, doing something rather nasty. Right, so having got one in position with the spring washer, I'll move around and put it in. Now I suppose in principle, perhaps just longer bolts would have been even more ideal, but still, I don't plan to take this in and out very often. So having got the thing into position and screwed down a little bit, we can now take them out again, put the spring washer back on, and that's it. Whew. And there we have it. It's completely locked in place, and before, although I didn't demonstrate it, you could actually hear it rocking as well, but now completely rigid. So there we are. Now this little tank now goes back in my head to being a brilliant idea, but quite why the vendors are selling it with a single O-ring when clearly it's designed because of the concave chamfer on the top and on the bottom that it has, combined with the ridge on the pump body. It's clear to me that there should be two O-rings, one above and one below. And so much for the better if you've got it made from Viton E10 proof rubber. So, look forward to fitting this now. If you got as far as this, thanks very much for watching. And in case you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. That would be really encouraging for me. So catch you on the next one.